Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
Good morning, it's the Workers' Speech. You can call us at 972-647-1893. I'm here with Bonnie.
Good morning. Bonnie Mathias here.
And President of the Dallas NAACP, Dr. Juanita Wallace. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
And we want to talk about just what you want to talk about, the takeover of the Dallas Independent School District. If you got an opinion, tell us 972-647-1893. Let me tell you first, though, that there's something going on. Just started out in Grand Prairie at local 276. That's 2505 W.E. Roberts. They are holding a grand meeting of Move On. People from all over the state are there, and they are inviting everyone to come in. They're going to go over virtually every big issue that's facing the state of Texas, and they want everybody to come. It's 2505 W.E. Roberts in Grand Prairie. So please come in. Dr. Wallace, what do you think about the takeover of the Dallas Independent School District?
Right up front, I want to tell a listening audience, say no. Stay away from that petition that says support our public school, because that word, support our public school, is very deceptive. What they really mean is we're going to take over DISD and make it into one great big charter school, and guess what? It's another legal way to discriminate. I say stay away from it. Don't sign the petition. It means $1.5 billion for some people and a no-no for our school kids, and we've got to understand that. The National Office of the NAACP, along with the Dallas branch, we talked about this in 2011. We said there is no way we're going to go charter school, because what it does is actually very divisive. And we wrote a resolution that talked about all the divisiveness in the NAACP and how it affects the black people, the brown people. And then we did research, and the research says that the Center of Research and Education, which examined charter schools data in 15 states in the District of Columbia, confirmed that 17% of the charter schools in the study outperformed their peers, while 46% performed no better and 37% performed worse. So add the 46 and the 37 and see what you come up with. It is not good for our kids here in Dallas Independent School District. Let's keep it independent.
You mean
That's
the
right.
charter schools that they already got don't work?
No, they don't work.
That's right.
Absolutely.
No, they promise that they're going to be better than the public schools, and the fact is that they're not.
They're not. And we have to understand, this is a trial run here in DISD. Have they tried it in any other part of the state of Texas?
No, and this has been on the books since 1995.
Absolutely.
And this is the first time that anyone has picked up the ball and decided that they want to try this. Take it privatizing. That's all it is. They want to privatize our independent public school system. They want to take the public out of the public school. And we absolutely cannot allow this. Your child will lose every right to due process the day this happens. So is that what you want? You want your kid to wear the wrong color shoe to school and end up at the Juvenile Justice Center and with no chance of getting back into the school system because they don't want you?
And you do understand, when you go to charter school, if there is one mishap, you can be kicked out. Now, parents, I want you, especially the parents in the southern sector, I want you to think about it. You have got to start thinking, I have to vote no for this. And don't be deceived by the way it might be worded on the ballot if it gets on the ballot. But I'm saying we're going to make sure it does. But just in case it gets on the ballot, I want you to understand that there is no way that you can drive your kid to Plano, Mesquite, Richardson, because once you kick out of a charter school here in Dallas, if it becomes total charter, where are you going to take your kids? Can you homeschool them? I don't think so.
The way it works now is that a parent has a certain due process.
Yes.
That if a child is going to be expelled or something like that, that they have a procedure that they must go through under state law, right?
Right, absolutely.
And I don't know exactly how that works, but you're saying that if they make the whole district a charter school, then it'll work like a charter school.
And there will be no due process.
Absolutely, and you have to look at, there's so many things that's unknown about this, but we do know that it's not the best thing for our students. And we also know that this is about money and power. And when you have people that are greedy, they will try anything at any time. Now, why did they come to Dallas? They came to Dallas because Dallas is known for taking a dive. There are people in the southern sector, there are people that take a dive all the time, and for a few pennies, and peanuts even.
Yeah.
And what they figure is, okay, we can go over there and sell it to them because they don't read, they don't write, they don't listen to what's going on, so we're going to, what's the word? We're going to dupe them.
Yeah.
Thinking.
They don't call this the dupe. They don't call this the dupe plan. They don't call this the expropriation plan. They don't call this the stealing plan or the privatization plan. They got some other nice word for it. Don't use their language. Don't start using the language that's been handed to you by the powers that be. Call it what it really is. It's expropriation. It's an attempt to take over. It's an attempt to take over public facilities. And there's some large amount of money that goes in their budget, is there not, Sister Wallace?
$1.5 billion. Now, can you imagine the mayor and his cronies having control over $1.5 billion and our kids probably receiving nothing? And the bottom line is the money that's going to be used is going to be very minuscule. The rest of it's going to go in their pockets. That's right. Let's face it. Public schools at least has oversight. It has TEA to look at it, has the federal government, state, and everything.
People that you vote for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people that you put in there for your interest. But guess what? It almost appears like the trustees are being sold down the river, because if we put them in as citizens and they don't represent us, then that's taxation without representation.
And Mike Morath, let's bear this in mind. Mike Morath is the DISD trustee that brought this to the mayor, to Mike Miles, and guess what, guys? He's up for re-election in May, and he's got some opponents. So I look. He sure does. I think he has two.
Let's make it clear just who this is. This is a trustee on the Dallas School Board.
That's right.
Representing Preston Hollow.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't represent Oak Cliff. You know, he doesn't represent South Dallas.
That's
he doesn't
it.
represent Pleasant Grove or something.
No.
He represents Preston Hollow, where George Bush lives.
Yes. and Harold Sims.
He's going to tell the rest of the district what's good for him.
Yep. That's right. That's right.
So when you hear the word Mike, think of Mike Rollins? No. Think of Mike Morath? No. Think of Mike, what's that superintendent's name? You know, Mike Miles, that sent his family back to Colorado because we were so hot and heavy behind. Well, I think we ought to be sending these guys somewhere. Yep. What do you think?
There'll be somebody that would want them.
Read Carla Ranger's blog, The Three Blind Mites. It is awesome. She is just a hoot.
Okay, explain who Carla Ranger is.
Carla Ranger
what you've heard her say.
Carla Ranger is a DISD trustee who represents children in the southern sector, and she has a blog. She is very outspoken. In fact, her husband is running to replace her because she doesn't want to play anymore, and I don't blame her. But she wrote in her blog, I guess, I think it was when this came out, she wrote Three Blind Mikes, talking about Mike Rawlings, Mike Morath, and Mike Miles. So I encourage you to log on to carlaranger.com and take a look at that.
And when you think about Mike Rawlings, doesn't he have enough to run the city?
I guess not.
Why is he delving into this? What is he looking for?
I think he's had this in mind all along. Because, you know, when he first began to run for mayor, he started talking about schools.
Schools, he
And
sure
the
did.
schools don't have anything to do with the city. The independent school district doesn't have anything to do at all with the city. So why would the man be talking about education all the time long ago unless he had something up his sleeve all along?
Yeah.
And what he has up his sleeve, you can see it now, is they want to have an appointed group to run the schools instead of the school board, instead of an elected group. Instead of a publicly elected group, they want to have an appointed group. Well, guess who he thinks is going to get to appoint them?
Well, I guess he thinks he's going to.
Absolutely. He thinks he's going to be a strong mayor, and he's going to get to appoint the people who run the school board.
He's going to have to move to another city if he wants to talk about being a strong mayor, because this is not a strong mayor political system. We have independent districts that are his boss.
Would you like to join in?
And actually, we are all his boss, if we remember that. We are all his boss. And now, I'm kind of at my wit's end about this. I'm shocked that I've heard some of these folks come out in favor of this. You're
Somebody
looking.
The only
if you
people
have an
that
opinion, call us at 972-647-1893 and let us know what you think. Go ahead, Sister Wallace.
The thing that we've got to do, understand that the actual title is so misleading, and if you don't read the blueprint and see the whole thing, it's support our public school.
Now that's
what they
support our
say.
school. No public in there.
Okay,
Support our schools.
All right. So if they say support our schools, most people look at that as being a positive.
Yeah, sure.
But if they don't read the fine line, the fine print, and understand what it goes on beyond that, then it sounds like,
this is getting me
a
crazy.
good idea. I want to support my schools.
It's like right to work.
Yes.
They made that sound really good too. That's a right to work.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
When they make up these lines and name these things,
They
know
get
what
it.
they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to use the real names for privatization and expropriation and stealing, and not use the names that they made up.
That's right. That's right. We have, I got to tell you, we've been working, I personally started working on DISD back in 2009. I have stood before the school board multiple times talking to them about what they have done or what they're doing to our schools, to our students. They've created this school to prison pipeline. They have, by disparities in discipline, and this is not just in Dallas, but it's certainly prevalent in Dallas. If you are a child of color with a disability, you are 83% more likely to receive a disciplinary referral and being removed from school.
That's in the Dallas school district.
That's in DISD. That's correct.
But we have a lot of complaints about the way things are run. There's no question about that. But the question before us is whether or not we want to have the school district expropriated and turned over to mighty corporations and unscrupulous politicians.
Absolutely.
972-647-1893 is the number. Is anybody online? Somebody called and talked to Annie forever and left a big long message but didn't want to come on the air. All right,
Okay.
Bonnie, what was the message?
I guess New York hedge fund managers are funding campaigns into Board of Education candidates. New York hedge funds. Is that who we want running our show here? A bunch of New York hedge funds? They're pushing the idea that education is a business and it's customer service.
Okay, well, we ought to let people get on the air when they call. 972-647-1893. Don't be shy. This station actually loves it when you call. Question is, how do you feel about the expropriation of the Dallas Independent School District? Should it be turned over to corporations and politicians, or should it continue to be run by an elected school board?
Should education be a business?
Let's put Maddie online. Thanks for calling KNON.
Marie.
Good morning, Marie. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, and God bless you all. I'm enjoying the subject. I understand it plainly, and it's talking about should the mayor take over or do his part as far as the school is take the public out to school. No, he shouldn't. And the reason why a lot of people don't understand, and you all are explaining what it all means, is because they're deceiving, they're changing the words. And they're not giving the true fact about the we're trying to take over. It's all about money.
Absolutely.
And just like you all said, say no. If we stand up and say no, they can't get away with it. You all have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's let Sister Wallace respond.
Wonderful. I appreciate you saying that. And in your community, we're going to have to start having community meetings so that I know right now we're working on a video that talks about a home rule school so that people can have an opportunity to look at it and look at the fine details rather than having you read, many pages, because we have been programmed to look at something very quickly. We're just a microwave community, and so we have to look at things quickly, and we have to have pictures to go along with it, and that's what we're working on. But the bottom line is you've got to understand that home rule is going to take away the curriculum. Now, the curriculum is actually the blueprint for what the kids learn. So if you've got people that are not even, finished college, but of course somehow they lucked up on getting a whole bunch of money, if running a school but don't have the curriculum or the students in mind, then we're going to end up with a whole bunch of students that can read less or read very inept in their curriculum. So we want you to understand that this takeover is also about education. It's just not about, we want to be about education. It's just not about money for us, but for the others it's about money. So the kids end up not having what they really need.
And let's look at a perfect example of a failure with the big name. Look, Prime Prep Academy.
Yes.
Prime Prep Academy, Mr. Deion Sanders, primetime Deion Sanders, him and his little buddies decided to open a school, and what happens? Oh my God!
And one of them strangled another one or hit him or something.
Yeah, and they got all kinds of financial improprieties, and kids aren't getting educated, and
lack of curriculum.
Lack of curriculum.
Lack of education on their part.
That's
also.
It. That's
Sister
right.
Wallace, don't you have a background in education? I haven't heard that.
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I worked 22 years with DISD, from being a school teacher all the way up to being a principal. Now, with my background, I came here from Ohio, worked 11 years as a reading teacher. And I came here because they needed reading teachers, and I applied, and they gave me a substantial amount of money up front because I am a reading teacher. But here's the thing that I like about it is that you have to be trained. It's just not something that comes by osmosis. I have a BS in reading and writing. I have an MD in special education. And I understand how important it is for kids that are not working on grade level. We have to be able to understand that. And then, of course, I have a doctorate in philosophy of education. So the bottom line is, when you start these schools, not only do you have to have money, but you need to have the education and the understanding of curriculum and all the other things to go along with it. That's
so
right.
Let's turn it over to people who know what they're talking about. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Call us at 972-647-1893.
And then comes Saturday morning.
All right. 972-647-1893. We want to thank Elizabeth from Fort Worth, who called and made a pledge.
Thank you.
It's not even pledge drive, but thank you so much.
See, it doesn't have to be pledge drive to make a pledge. You can call us anytime. We'll take your money anytime.
Well, you can call us and talk about the takeover of the Dallas Independent School District, 972-647-1893. We're talking with Dr. Juanita Wallace, who we just established has long credentials in the education sphere. Not only she has her doctorate, but she has years and years, decades of first-hand experience working with the children and working in the school district and working in the Dallas School District.
22 years in DISD, 11 years in Centerville City School, which is the suburbs of Dayton, Ohio. So, I've been reading and writing all my life, almost like a career.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years, though, since I've heard an education professional get the microphone and tell people what's really going on with the schools, because the politicians have just been using test scores.
That's right.
And I wanted to let you know, and I want everybody to just think for a minute. You cannot use test scores. Now, I wrote this letter back in April 11, 2013 to Mike Miles, and I'm just going to tell you a portion of it. More specifically, we assert that college readiness is comprised of three distinct elements: college awareness, college eligibility, and college preparation. College awareness involves providing students with their parents timely and accurate information about all aspects of college attendance. College awareness is an overreaching aspect of college readiness that should be present over time and should involve several groups of people. And then college eligibility, I think is what he's referring to, completing the necessary courses required to college, which may include SAT and ACT. See, to say a student is not college ready just because he doesn't score on the ACT or SAT is a false implication of readiness. And I want parents to understand we have to be intimately involved with our students all the time. But the bottom line is test scores should not be the only criteria for saying that they're college ready. Now, ask Mr. Miles about that, because I sent this letter to him, like I said, April 11, 2013, when he started talking about SAT and ACT. It just gripes me.
Okay, we got a couple of calls waiting. Let's go with Larry first. Larry's on line 1. Good morning, Larry. Thanks for calling KNON.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
What you think about it?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about charter schools. We left Dallas ISD thinking we're going to get a better education in the charter schools. The charter schools don't give the kids any homework. They give the kids only, they teach them to pass the STAR test only.
They teach them the test.
They don't have any type of curriculum, none whatsoever. All day long, they holler at the kids daily. There's no discipline. The classrooms are just overloaded. You got 30 to 35 kids per class. It is outrageous.
Absolutely.
My wife has to volunteer to make sure that my kids are getting the education that they need at these charter schools. Because if she's not there, they just get overlooked. They just like stockpiling kids. All they want to know is they're coming back next year so they can get the money for the enrollment.
That's all they want is the money, isn't it, Larry?
It's pitiful. It is pitiful, and I don't know what we're going to do. We thought we was getting something better with a charter school. We're not.
Okay,
We're not.
Thanks so much, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
For your testimony against charter schools. Now let's let Carla on. She's been waiting. Thanks for waiting. Thanks for calling KNON.
Yes.
Good morning.
I had y'all to talk about the effect that it's going to have on teachers. Usually, when I'm looking at this is a way to break the teachers' union. They're going to try to lower the teachers' pay scale when they start these charter schools.
It's disgusting. It's union busting.
Yes.
That's a great
This
point.
is what it is. It is a union busting.
That's right. And you know, our poor teachers don't have a lot of collective bargaining rights as it is. So you get these charter schools in there, there goes whatever due process rights they have.
Mm-hmm. Let's let Sister Wallace comment.
That's all I want to bring out. There's more than one underlying motive behind this.
Yes, they said in the newspaper that they're going
to... on our teachers.
Yes, ma'am.
You're right, Sister Carla. They said in the newspaper that they want all employees to be at-will employees, which they would have, in other words, have no rights whatsoever. So let's let Sister Wallace comment on this.
Well,
Are they trying to break the unions?
Oh, they're trying to break the unions, but they're also trying to make sure that they get rid of the veteran teachers, veteran principals that have earned their salaries because of the time they've been there, and put in people that are not necessarily able to discipline our students. You know, if the teachers are not able to discipline the students, then in fact they cannot learn. So the bottom line is that's another technique. They have no regards for education. That's the bottom line. And you will probably remember that there was a particular charter school that hired about 7 or 8 DISD employees, one to write the curriculum, one to be administrator over their charter schools. And once they got everything set up, they fired everyone. Now, administrators and teachers that were fired from this charter school, call in. because I don't want to call your name, but you contact the NAACP, and we made a list of you, and we know who you are. So you have to speak up and let people know that charter schools are not for our people.
So when they set the charter school up, they tried to make it look good, just like the mayor's trying to make this process look good.
Absolutely.
But after they get in power, they can do anything, and including fire anybody that really cares.
And that's exactly what they did. They fired the people that had set it up, and of course, they had to come back to DISD, Independent School District. You know who you are.
Okay, you can call us at 972-647-1893. Randy's on line 3. Good morning, Randy. Thanks for calling KNON.
Good morning, you guys.
Good morning.
Hey, how do you think we got into the situation we're in today?
What do you think?
What do you think the main thing?
I think they've been trying to undermine the schools for decades.
Well, okay, that's one thing, but I'm thinking that lack of parent activity is the main problem with most of our public schools. The parents are too busy. The parents got 2 jobs. The parents are tired. Well, you know what? When little Johnny's down at the grocery store being treated wrong, you rush right down there and get it straightened out. When he's on the soccer field, you think he got talked to wrong, you ready to beat up the coach.
So a lot of parents' involvement would be a really good idea. Thanks, Randy. That's a really good point. But you made that same point last week. He made the same point last week, and it's a very good point. And that parents should be more involved. But it doesn't have anything to do with the question at hand, which is, are we going to allow the Dallas Independent School District to be taken over by corporate interests and turned into a privatized organization?
And if you look at the private schools, you can understand that do they have any more participation, any more parental participation than DISD? I don't think so. As a matter of fact, we just had a caller to come in and say the only time his children are able to get anything done is a parent has to be there. Parents are not to be at the school every day 24/7.
And let me tell you about these. I had an experience, one of my dear friends had to go to truancy court. Okay, her son was involved in a very serious car accident last year. He has a broken back, but he's getting along. So he misses school occasionally. Well, they decided they were going to make him a truant. So she gets a letter. She has to go to truancy court. Now, he goes to Skyline. They live in Pleasant Grove. You want to know where the truancy court is? Over on Marsh Lane in North Dallas.
Yes.
Now, isn't that convenient? So we have our parents out here that are working. They have to take off a whole day to take their kid over to court in North Dallas. That is absolutely ridiculous. We are not doing our kids any favors, and let me tell you, it is not going to get better with this privatization of our schools. It'll get worse. Now your kid got kicked out of school. You got nowhere to go. Nowhere.
Are they telling us what they want to do after they take over? For the most part, no. For the most part, they're just
talking.
They say they want a blank page. They want to be able to do anything they want to do. So give us all this power, and then we will do anything we want to do.
And then we'll let you know what we're going to do.
after we've
already done it. Yeah.
All right. Somebody wrote in and said, "Do you think we got too smart for our own britches by trying to make all kids go to college? Some kids should just go to trade schools, don't you think?" I'll hand that off to Sister Wallace. You think some kids should just go to trade schools and we should just write that off?
I think every child should have an option. I believe they should be prepared to go to college. Now, I don't know about any other ethnicity, but for blacks, that was a rule in our community. That was a rule when I was growing up, which was a long, long time ago. But nevertheless, you were going to college. And if by chance you didn't go to college, then you had to go to some kind of skill school so that you could learn a trade so that you'd be able to take care of yourself. Because bottom line is, we're trying to get out of slavery.
So we don't want to just we don't want to just say, okay, you go this way, you go that way.
Absolutely not.
Give them all a chance.
Everybody have to have an option.
972-647-1893. KNON actually loves it when you call. Tony's on line 1. Good morning, Tony. Thanks for waiting. Thanks for calling KNON.
Good morning. How y'all doing this morning?
Good.
Good morning.
All right. You know, you said something earlier. The reality is corporate America is trying to commoditize and our kids to like be robots. What they're saying is these kids not coming into corporate America prepared. The problem is this, is that number one, you got kids who go to business school. So some of the brightest kids go to liberal arts school, who can write, who can read and think outside the box. But they don't want them. But what they want is the kids who go to business schools to be like robots. And what they've done is they have part of the Democratic Party, Martin Cricket's part of this too, and said, you know what, we need to take this school district and make it a charter. Now, by statistics alone,
there's a couple people
North Dallas people don't put their kids in charter schools. Period. And the kids that are going to Townsview and keep watching it are not going to go there if they become charter schools. Period. End of story. Charter schools, don't get me wrong, all charter schools are not bad. But if you compare them as overall to public schools, they don't do any much better. Then what they do is they just try to compare apples to oranges. You cannot compare apples to oranges when you talk about charter schools because at the end of the day, what they're doing is they're saying, okay, we're going to take over the district, and the DIC has $1 billion budget. And that's what they want. North Dallas, Highland Park, University Park, that's trying to take over the district. And they're going to get the signatures because they're going to go to North Dallas and get them.
You're absolutely right.
You're right, Tony.
You're right on.
Exactly
you're right on it, Tony.
That's exactly
Thank you for making those comments, Tony. We got people waiting. Is Michael next on line 2? Good morning, Michael. Thanks for calling.
How y'all doing?
All right.
All right. Well, anyway, parenting, is a vital, organ for educating kids, And a lot of these kids, you have to look at a lot of these kids that's not doing too good in school, their parents either drop out or didn't do too good in school.
Mm-hmm.
And I disagree with the notion that everybody must go to college. Hell, the Congress is full of college graduates, and look how screwed up the doggone country is.
Yeah,
so,
you have to look out for some of them.
If everybody got a college degree, well, who is they going to use it on? Each other?
All right.
All the economic professors, they ain't solving economic problems. All the psychologists ain't solving all the psychological problems. So who gonna manufacture this equipment that we use every day?
All right, Michael. We appreciate your call, and let's move on. Now, Jasmine's been waiting for some time. She's on line 3. Good morning, Jasmine. Thanks for calling.
Good morning. Good morning.
Glad to hear from you.
Hi. Being one of your younger callers, I'm assuming I'm a fan of the show. I'm looking to pursue education, and having worked for a neighboring school district to Dallas ISD, the children are being mass-produced. I think that's the problem. I don't think individualism, I don't think skill set, I don't think traits, I don't think the actual mind of the child is being taken into consideration when, as she said, the people running the schools aren't the people actually working for the schools. And then you have teachers that are at the schools that are completely incompetent. They're incapable of handling the children. They're incapable of teaching the children. If you cannot grasp a child's attention, there's no way. There's absolutely no way for you to educate them. And it's not even education.
But Jasmine, the question at hand now is the privatization. Do you think this privatization is going to help, or do you think it's going to make
It's going to be a hindrance. It's going to be a hindrance to the schools. It's going to make it worse. It's absolutely going to make it worse. Mm-hmm. And you're going to see a rapid decline and in education and a rapid influx in the prison system.
Okay. Well, we appreciate it very much.
The prison pipeline.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sister Wallace, you want to comment?
Well, I think she said it the best way that, I could even say it. We have to have competent teachers, and no doubt about it, we're not knocking competent teachers. What we're knocking is the fact that we're going to have people in charter schools that are not necessarily competent.
In other words, they'll be the cheapest people they can hire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're going to make the most money they're going to make, so which means they have to pay the people the least they can possibly pay them. So it means they're going to get a bunch of dummies to teach your children.
And that's what we've been looking at for the last year in DISD.
That's right.
The veteran teachers have been pushed out.
Yep. Leaving in droves.
Yes.
We'll be right back after this break. I wake up in the morning at 4:45. We're back on the Workers' Beat. You can call us at 972-647-1893. A bunch of people are calling, so just hang on if you have to wait for a second. I want to make one point, and I want to make it very clearly, because the mayor and the people that are pushing for the school takeover have got one argument, which is their one argument is that the schools are not as good as they should be. And they talk about something, test scores and stuff like that, to say that the schools are not as good as they should be. There's a very good reason why the schools are not as good as they should be. They have been undermining them and defunding them and defaming them for the last several decades. They cut $5 billion from the school budget just 2 sessions ago at the state legislature, and I think $2 billion before that. So it was $7 billion were cut from the state budget by the state legislature, and they have started imposing all these crazy requirements that don't have anything to do with teaching. They've simply brushed aside the opinions of all the professionals, all the people that have studied this, all the people that have had experience with children and with education and with curriculum and with running the schools, have been brushed aside completely in favor of standardized tests, which the politicians then say they have this one number or this one statistic, and then they'll say, well, this proves that this school should shut down and that principal should be fired, et cetera, like that. And they don't have any concept of what it's going to take to help the children. And these people have no background. Sister Juanita Wallace, sitting right here, has got more background in her little finger, more understanding of the school system and what it takes to educate children than than John Arnold, the billionaire who's running this show from Houston, the one who's financing this whole takeover, Mike Rath, the trustee from Preston Hollow, no background in education, and Mayor Mike Rawlings, no background in education, nothing to do with helping children or all the different problems that can come up. They have brushed those people aside instead they're using standardized tests, which has been proven. It's already been proven that it does not predict success.
Absolutely.
The SAT and the ACT do not predict success in college as well as school grades do. School grades are still a better predictor of success in college than either one of those tests. That's why they're going over the tests now and trying to change them. All of the testing that has been implemented since George Bush was governor of Texas have been proven to be frauds. They do not tell you what's going on in the schools. Teachers' grades are much better indicators of how your student is doing than any kind of test. And yet they've used those tests in order to undercut the actual professionals.
Yes.
People like Dr. Juanita Wallace, who actually knows something about education, have been brushed aside. Instead, they've got a test score, and they say, well, I know this test score. This test score here is 65. So that means we don't have to listen to decades, centuries of understanding and experience in the field of education. That's what's happened in America as they have undercut, undermined, defunded, and defamed the public education system. That's what I think. 972-647-1893. What do you think?
And instead of dealing with our children and teaching them cognitive thinking and we beat them up against the head about what not to do, but we don't teach them what they're supposed to do.
Let's let Sister Juanita Wallace tell us what.
And the other thing that I find is that we often want to teach just a knowledge-based information. But if you look at just simple research, it says that first you do knowledge, then comprehension, then analysis and synthesis. You've got to teach students how to think. And once they are able to think, then in fact they can think not only inside the box but outside the box. But we want to keep them very contained. Now the other thing about what you were saying earlier is the fact that if you can recall when we had learning centers in South Dallas, they worked They
were
absolutely
successful.
worked.
Yes.
Very successful. And they brought in Mike Moses. That's another Mike. To actually get rid of the learning centers. Because the students that were attending the learning centers and the magnet schools, they were succeeding, beyond measures. So if you put the resources there and you have the teachers that are trained and understand and have a feeling for children. See, being a teacher is not just a skill. You have to have a calling.
Right.
And when you get there and you love those kids, because they know if you love them or not.
Oh, yeah.
And you do what you're supposed to do, they will do whatever you expect them to do. So expectations is another part. But the bottom line is all of this has been removed, and it was removed gradually to perpetrate or to accelerate failure. And once something has the appearance of being a failure, then you can remove it. And that's why they ended up closing those 5 schools over in South Dallas.
That's right.
Now, one particular school, they closed it, and it was academically acceptable even in the day that they were closing it. So now what do you think about that? So we've got to understand public school works. And if you're trying to go any other direction, you're going in the wrong.
All right, let's let Phyllis talk. Phyllis is on line 1. Thanks for waiting, and thanks for calling KNON.
Hey, hi, Jean, Bonnie.
Hi, Phyllis.
Did you have time to look online at the Dallas Morning News today?
Tell us about it.
Okay. There's an article on this school situation by Matthew Haig, who, writes normally on education. And this is the part I want to quote to you. He says, while support of public schools has touted some benefits, the ability to start the school year earlier, for example, opponents have focused on potential pitfalls. Paragraph. State limitations on disciplinary action and how long a student can be suspended from school could be rolled back. Mm-hmm. Parents could lose the right to ask a principal to transfer their child to another campus.
Yeah.
And voters could no longer elect school board members.
That's true.
Well, I am focusing particularly on that, rolling back limitations on discipline and suspension. Mm-hmm. Does anybody believe that rolling back those rules bodes well for minority children?
Oh, God, no. It's horrible now, Phyllis, as you know.
It applies to what you were talking about before, Bonnie. Mm-hmm. But it is much worse than I had realized, because those particular components of what might be changed, I had not seen spelled out that way before.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the secret of private schools and charter schools. The secret to the success, to the extent that they have any success, is that they can pick and choose whoever they want to have in their schools. So they can just kiss you goodbye if you're not doing what they want you to do. If you're bringing down their test scores or something like that. Do you believe that an unruly or difficult student would last 2 days at Hockaday?
Nope.
No, sir.
My God.
The reason that Hockaday succeeds is because it's got the elite, it's got the cream of the cream, it's cherry picking.
They pick their students.
And that's what charter schools have, that ability to do that too. Now, most of charter schools that have got charters in Texas always say that they're not going to do that. And of course, most charter schools that get charters in Texas also fail, don't they? Yes. But when to the extent that a private school works, I had this experience. I actually was headmaster of a private school at one time, really? And we had one little African American student, and you didn't be amazed how many parents called and told me to get rid of that kid. Get rid of that kid. And I said, I will never do it. I'm never going to kick Benny out of school, because this school has to be replicable. I said, it was experimental school. I said, if you start kicking the kids out and cherry picking and just saying only certain kids can come here, then you have already become an elitist school. And maybe that's why that's why I had a lot of trouble with that. I had to spend every afternoon explaining why I wasn't going to kick Benny out of school. And Benny was kind of a handful
But you know what? Benny was a handful, but I'll bet. Where do you think Benny is today?
Well, I'm not too sure. Last I heard, he was still in Houston where I was doing this. But
he hadn't been to prison.
You know who his best friend was? Benny was a street kid, but you know who his best friend was one of the hobbies. I also had one of the hobbies. From Lieutenant Governor Bill Hobby's son.
Wow.
Was also in the school, and they were best friends. However, the family really couldn't stand Benny, and I guess that's partly because he was getting along so well with their son.
And he was African American.
Anyway, you cannot pick and choose and call that success because we're supposed to have schools for all of our children, are we not?
But that's absolutely true. But what this sounds like is that they could take, very harsh disciplinary action or suspend the student, and then those children, the parents couldn't ask to be transferred to another campus. Those children would just be out on the street.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I thought you were talking about the article where the mayor was trying to talk to the Latino people. That's in today's paper, too. Did you read that one?
Oh, I saw that yesterday because Jim Schutz wrote about that. Yeah.
Okay, well, tell us what happened.
Oh.
Most people haven't read that article.
A woman who's an education advocate, whom I do not know.
You're talking about Anna Casey?
I haven't heard her name. I think it's Anna Casey. Began questioning the mayor, and the mayor does not like to be questioned, so he got up and stormed out.
So they run the mayor out, didn't they?
Yay!
Apparently they did, yeah.
Well, you know, I tell when you can't answer questions.
Well, he wanted to run the meeting the way he wanted to run it. He wanted to sit there and talk about statistics and stuff like that. But when somebody started asking him, well, what are you actually going to do? How are you actually going to help the children or something like that? The man had to leave in shame.
Well, the mayor does not like public comment at all, and you knew that.
Oh, yeah.
And he pushed through that 3 minutes every 30 days rule.
At the city council.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, at the city council meeting.
Well, that's what you get at DISD.
He wants to turn us turn our children over to him, but he don't want to hear from us.
That's right.
Oh, definitely.
DISD, I mean, right. We have our issues at DISD. There is no two ways about it.
Of course.
But we have some successes. What is that? What do we talk about? The Barack Obama Academy?
Well,
yes.
If we could get some money out of the state legislature, we could have a lot of success.
Right. I mean, why can't we replicate that learning center, the Barack Obama Learning Center, for all of our kids? What a novel concept.
No. Okay, I'll hang up and I'll listen to you on the radio.
Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you so much.
972-647-1893. We still got time for a call or two if you want to comment on the takeover of the Dallas Public School District. We're here with Dr. Juanita Wallace of the NAACP.
Now, while we're waiting to hear from you, I want you to know that it's extremely important for you to come to the board meeting. The board meeting is this Thursday. Is it this Thursday? You have to call Wednesday before 4 p.m. to speak on Thursday's agenda.
Right.
972-925-3720. I always put that out there because we need people down there talking. We need you to talk about, you don't want to have to take your kid to Richardson and you live in Dallas. And more importantly, you're paying taxes in Dallas.
That's right.
So that's going to be tax without representation. You pay tax, but if that charter school district comes to fruition, you are going, and your kid misbehaves, he or she's going to be kicked out, and then where will you take them? Can't bring them to me because I only tutor 1 or 2 people a week. That's all I do.
You can't take any more.
I can't take any more. Yes.
You know, this is it's all coming from the same place. You got to look at this. This has got the Koch brothers written all over it.
Yes.
This has got the American Legislative Exchange Commission written all over it, which is a huge... they propose legislation to privatize stuff. That's because they want the money.
That's it.
They're the ones pushing charter schools.
Yes, all over the country. All over the country they want to do this. We cannot allow Dallas to be a poster child for this failed attempt at turning our education system into a business.
And if Dallas is the first place in Texas to have this so-called hostile charter takeover, why? You have to ask yourself why. And when you come up with the reasons, you will come to the conclusion that it's all about the money. It's not about the child. Has it been tried before? No, it hasn't. So they can't say they can guarantee success because they can't.
No.
So you have to go back to, again, it's all about the money. And then when you say power, power is equivalent to all about the money.
That's right. That's right.
That's what Carla Ranger was saying at the meeting the other day. She said it's all about power, money, and I forgot what the other thing was. But anyway, Carla Ranger, the school trustee, is 100% against it. Now, there's a school board election coming up. It's a couple of candidates. Several candidates are running that are dead set against this. So I hope they get a big boost out of it. I hope the people will vote for the candidates that are opposing the school takeover.
We have to vote in every single election, no matter what. If the 99% vote, the 1% won't matter. We have got to get out and exercise your right that people have died for, people have fought for. You must exercise that right to vote. I know sometimes it's a pain. You know, we had a huge ballot during these primaries. I got 5 pages I had to take in there with me to make sure I had the right ones. But this is what we have to do to take control of our public schools. You must vote. You cannot allow these government or these private industry people to come in here and try to take over our schools.
Let's let Dr. Juanita Wallace have the final word on this. We're running out of time. We're so pleased that you came in.
Thank you.
You have so much community spirit and standing up for everybody throughout the whole city and standing up for education. That's right. With your tremendous background and credentials. This is a woman that knows what she's talking about. So let's listen to Dr. Juanita Wallace.
I just want to thank you for allowing me to come in, because the bottom line is you didn't have to. My mom always said, when people are nice, you be nice to them. But here is the key. When you hear the word home rule school, say no. When you hear support our schools, you say no. Don't sign in a petition. Don't let. And if you are not sure about this, call me up.
There you go.
Just call me up, 214-916-9919. We need to hear from you, and we need your help to make sure that you address the board members, the city council people. You know that you only have 3 minutes, but write it up, practice.
That's right.
And go for it.
That's right.
That's what we say. Yes, you can do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it so much. We've had Dr. Juanita Wallace come in today to talk with us about the school takeover. Bonnie and I are delighted that KNON lets us talk about workers' issues every week. And more than anything else, we're pleased with you for listening. We'll see you next week.
Quick shout out to my ADT guys. Love you. Keep fighting.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.